Hello and welcome to Friday Double Bill. This is Mayank Shekhar. I'm Fahad Samar. Now, 2 weeks ago, you may recall that Mayank and I did our predictions of who will win the Oscars. Well, let's find out how we fared. But before that, Mayank's going to tell us about the latest releases for this week.
Well, Oscars has already happened, but so far as the theatres are concerned, we have two major releases, and of course, we'll let you know whether we think it's a Dekho or Pheko in the cinemas. The first one is a belated sequel, that is Ab Tak Chhappan 2, which is the second part of Ab Tak Chhappan that released in 2004. That'll be followed by a discussion on the major Hollywood release this Friday, which is called Kingsman. Ab Tak Chhappan 2, directed by Ejaz Gulab, is the official sequel to the 2004 Nana Patekar starrer that was also the directorial debut of filmmaker Shimit Amin. That film was produced by Ram Gopal Verma. This one is not. After over a decade of staying in exile on account of court cases against him, Sadhu, the lead character of this film, returns to the Mumbai police force on special request of the state's Home Minister. Sadhu has an extra-constitutional way of working. He essentially shoots criminals off when he's sure of their crime. This manner of approach to law are called encounter killings, which were quite common in Bombay in the 1990s. This film recreates the same scenario with two rival underworld gangs gunning against each other. In the first part of this film, Sadhu had lost his wife. In this film, he loses his son to the gang war where politicians and the police itself could well be involved.
You know, Mayank, I remember this film in 2004 vividly. Shimit Amin was an up-and-coming director, bright, intelligent. They made a really tight film. They've waited 11 years. The only thing that is common between that film and this one is Nana Patekar. And right through the film, as it unfolded, I kept asking myself, why couldn't they wait 11 years more? Because it has been excruciating sitting through this film. This has got to be some of the tackiest camera work I have ever seen for a long, long time. And given how wonderfully proficient some of our young cinematographers are, there is no reason why you have to have this Karamchand style of, shooting films. It's probably shot on a 5D camera, but even that is just not an excuse. Secondly, the music score by Sandeep Chauta is got to be one of the most amateur and third-rate scores I have heard in the longest time. It is just at odds with the rest of the film. Is one thing we are used to having people have excruciatingly loud background score, but this was just completely inexplicable. The script, I think the less said about it, the better. There can be no spoiler alerts because the whole film is as predictable as it comes. So I was just appalled sitting through this thing. Nana Patekar, God bless him, is Nana Patekar. He plays Nana Patekar, which is not a bad thing. And if you see him from time to time, it's wonderful. But even he can't hold this film on his shoulders, carry it the way through. And it was just a merry mess for me.
Well, I distinctly remember that 2004 film too, and I think that was the last proper Bombay crime noir film that we saw. And since then, there's a reason why they haven't been made. For one, is that the crime scene in Bombay itself has changed hugely. And that made Ram Gopal Verma's movies irrelevant beyond a point, because it's not about these two thugs and these two underworld gangs anymore. It's really become about terrorism. And somewhere films need to reflect that. And this film is really stuck in a time warp in that sense. Because of course you know that this man, the Rambo, needs to come back to the police force because we need him. But why do we exactly need him right now? That needs to be explained. And especially for the fact that he's going and killing people, without, with complete full freedom and orders from the state government itself, then I think that needs to be explained a little better than the fact that we love Nana Patekar. And I think the other thing that I remember from Ab Tak Chhappan, of course, beyond the fact that it is Shimit Amin's directorial debut, and he went on to make some really, really good films, Chak De India and Rocket Singh thereafter, is Nana Patekar himself. Now, I am not a huge fan of Nana Patekar purely because I think his dramatics or his style is very theatrical for my personal taste. But I know there are audiences who love him for just those reasons. So who am I to quibble with that? But I think in Ab Tak Chhappan, he was the most understated I'd ever seen, and I think they're trying to bring back that Nana Patekar in this film too. Of course he's aged over the years, but he still has that spunk, and he's the guy who can deliver those lines, with that that baritone in his voice. Stuff like kaan ko commode nahi banane ka, and those are great lines in their own way. But you're right. I mean, you can love an actor for whatever it's worth. You can love a performance again for whatever it's worth, but you have to love the film. And there's very little to love about this movie.
You know, Mayank, I think in a film like this, which is so low budget and tacky, you know, the whole film unfolds like an oh my god moment. For me, what was frightening and is truly oh my god is the fact that Nana Patekar has now threatened to come back with Ab Tak Chhappan 3, and he's going to direct it himself.
Is that something you read? Because that wasn't clear from the film.
No, I've read it, and I'm still mortified by it.
Yeah.
So, you know, please forgive me for having extraneous impetus coming at me from, you know, because it really has blown my mind.
Well, I mean, nobody can quibble with the fact that if this movie does well and there is a captive audience for Nana Patekar and for Ab Tak Chhappan, they can watch it Chhappan times for all I care. But I'm certainly not going to try and catch the third part for very obvious reasons. But my biggest oh my god moment, and this has nothing to do with the film itself, it has far more to do with the censor board, Fahad, is the number of times the lead characters, you know, dialogue are muted. And it just seems funny beyond a point because it's saying, "Aur aapko kaisa lagta hai?" I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, at least beep it out so we know, because he suddenly seemed like a mute guy in the middle of a conversation. I think that list of expletives that they came out with, which thankfully they've junked, or at least summarily junked, or put on hold for now. I think if that's gone, then at least we can go ahead and watch some good movies. But the second part, and let's be also fair, I like the production design of this film. For the fact that you've at least gone and shot in some real locations. The real locations, of course, don't look that great because, as you said, it's been shot, you know, pretty shoddily. There are some Ram Gopal Verma angle shots as well. But I think eventually you realize that over a period of time, you've seen so many of these films that these shots have all become cliches. So you know that there'll be that tabela shot, you know, there'll be the bhans all over the place because it's an underworld film. You know that there'll be a barber shot, you know, barbershop shot where this guy's a close shave. So, you know, over a period of time, it really becomes like one of those diploma films about Bombay underworld.
Really tacky cinematography, cliched script, jarring background score. Do you think for a moment I would suggest that you go out and subject yourself to this nonsense? For God's sake, it's an unequivocally Peko as far as I'm concerned. This is a close encounter of the worst kind.
Well, Fahad, I'm going to be far more charitable in that one for two reasons. One, that it has Nana Patekar, and he's been the most understated in a film like Ab Tak Chhappan 2, and also, of course, in Ab Tak Chhappan. The second reason is my expectations were terribly low, because this is a Ram Gopal Verma film gone wrong, no matter what that means. Of course, it's not produced by him. This is Shimit Amin idea being taken over by a bunch of producers and a first-time director. So clearly, I was expecting nothing from this movie. So from that perspective, I thought, hey, not so bad. I haven't seen a Bombay noir movie for very long, and maybe TV pe dekho, certainly theatre pe mat dekho.